Que é para apanhar esse vídeo.
Ok. Qual é que é o link? É este o link, né?
Sim, eu já pus na área.
Vou pôr aqui alguns. Qual é o meu canal para pedir? Está bem.
É tiro e depois mete no género quando tiver a voar.
Ok.
Pede só feedback aqui de tal cidade e tal.
A cena é que não dá para ler os slides, o que é um bocado chato.
Mas isso é normal. Aponta para o orador.
Yeah, quando eles começarem a falar vai ser mais fácil ler e tal, não sei qual é, onde é que eles gostam de falar e assim. Mas estava a pedir ao pessoal no Slack a ver se estava para ouvir e assim, mas acho que está fixe. Acho que sim. O som está tudo metálico. O som está tudo metálico. Nossa ideia.
Eles estão a fazer do Facebook. Eles estão a fazer lá no Facebook, para o Facebook do Porto.
Ok, isso é fixe. Não sei como corrigir um metálico. Pronto, aos segundos, eu não sei o que é que eles querem dizer com o metálico e como é que se corrige. Porque estamos a usar o microfone do escritório, devia dar bem. Perguntar aos segundos.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming to the third edition of Digital Meets Physical. This is a meetup organized by Whitesmith. The first edition was in Coimbra, the second in Lisbon, and now in Porto. Whitesmith is a product studio. We design, validate, and build products. We have a distributed team in Portugal, Brazil, and UK. So if you want to know more about us, we can talk in the end of the event. So today we have three awesome speakers, Rui, Gonçalo, and Luís. So let's start. Rui.
Hi everyone. Thank you to Whitesmith and to Marianne for the invitation. I will be very fast because my colleagues will be much more interesting than I will be, because they are out there in the market doing actual things. I'm in the higher education, so and I will share a little bit with you the experience of Porto Design Factory. Porto Design Factory, well, this is me, this is my contacts, email me, tag me, whatever you want. Preferably come by Porto Design Factory and have a coffee with us. That's the way we prefer. We're a bit physical in that sense. Actually, we are much more physical than digital. But let's go with that. So Porto Design Factory is part of Porto Polytechnic. Porto Polytechnic is the fourth biggest higher education institution in Portugal, the first in the Polytechnic or Applied Sciences universities. And we are a project that inside the presidency of Porto Polytechnic that aims to experiment new ways of learning for this new generation of global innovators, of responsible entrepreneurs and future change makers. We started four and a half years ago thinking about this because we were we were annoyed by the fact that more and more the industry, the companies were telling us that what your graduates are giving us when they arrive into the labor market is not enough. Great mechanical engineers, great designers, great teachers, great musicians, but we need more than great mechanical engineers that know everything about mechanical engineering, but don't know how to manage an international project or a budget or have a set of skills that more and more the labor market is demanding. And if you think that this is true, we have been hearing this more and more, companies saying, yeah, we need more, the graduates are not arriving as we want them, we need to work them again and again and again. This is true, okay? Don't let anyone from my side of the aisle tell you that we're doing a great job. We're not at the higher education institution system. We need to do better, especially because the labor market is changing, especially because the requirements of this ever-changing labor market are changing. If you think about the Industry 4.0, which of course is a big buzzword, etc., 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 I don't care about discussing what the backgrounds or the origin, whatever, but the impact is up there. There are a few million jobs that will be lost in Europe alone in the next 2 years because of redundancy. Functions that will no longer be necessary because machines, computers, robots will do it, will do them. And these kind of functions are not just blue-collar functions, they're also white-collar functions. It's transversal, it will get to us all. So, World Economic Forum was speaking about 5 million jobs just in the next 2 years. Some other reports are stating that 250 million jobs in 5 years across the world because of redundancy. Meaning that people that have been prepared by us, higher education, will go to unemployment because they will no longer be necessary. Or because they don't have the capacity to adjust to this reality. If you think, in addition to that, that 65, and this is a topic that is very important for me because I have a kid, 6 years old, just got into the educational system, first grade. He will be, I hope, at least 15 years there to do a bachelor. 65% of the kids that are entering the educational system now, when they leave, 15 years from now, they will be performing functions that don't exist yet. And we are educating them, not knowing what for. Because all the time you say, okay, mechanical engineering will design and produce machines, or the industrial designer will conceive furniture, or teacher will teach, or musician will play. It's no longer that clear that it will happen like that. So what the hell are we teaching our future graduates for? That was the big question. That's the reason why we exist. We don't know. But at least we should do something about it. And because it's not up to us, Porto Polytechnic, to completely, as our president has said a few months ago, implode the higher education system. We can't do that. It's not up to us. At least we can do something to try and change it. So we are experimenting. And Porto Design Factory is an experimental vision, that thing, but the co-learning and co-creation platform focusing on empowering a new generation of global innovators, responsible entrepreneurs, future change makers. We believe that our students need to learn by themselves a new way of thinking that will stick with them for life. That's what we try to do at Porto Design Factory. So how do we make this real? This is very beautiful, great speech, nice. So how do we make this happen? So we try to design educational programs where students from the 3rd year of bachelor's or master students or graduated students experience team-based work, interdisciplinary teams, international teams. So half the team is in Porto, half the team is somewhere in the world. They work for impact, meaning that they will try to come up with new products or services that can solve people's problems. And doing this with companies, with NGOs, with city, with public authorities, whatever. And always focused on the end user. This is what we do. How we do it, it's irrelevant. So we love to experiment. We are agnostic in terms of technology, in terms of pedagogical models, in terms of business models. We just love to experiment everything. As long as it fits these 5 musts, we do anything. Okay? And truly what we do is to create flight simulators of real-life projects. But real-life projects, not like Industrial Revolution projects. 21st century projects. So with real companies, with focusing on the global markets, trying to respond to user needs, observing and analyzing behavior, trying to understand different kinds of technologies, combining them, etc. And in a real life situation. So no theoretical classes, no curricular program that we give, and this will be the program that you will learn from the first day until the last day. And no list of books that you need to read, period. No. Everything is out there and open. No classrooms. Projects. Company gives us a briefing. 6 to 8 students out there will be put in a team interdisciplinary. Half of them in Porto, half of them can be in Kyoto, Stanford University, in Italy, Warsaw, Melbourne. They will try to solve that challenge. It's usually a vague challenge, and that's the topic of my talk to you, brief talk to you. So what they do actually is by practicing, by doing a real-life project, by delivering proofs of concept to companies, and the proof of concept means a fully functional prototype, and all the documentation, all the research, all the data, all the hypotheses, all the tests, all the fails are also delivered. And we deliver this to companies. And our reason, the reason why we exist is that we try to help our students learn by themselves this. And it could be these 10 skills, or it could be any other 10 transversal or soft skills. We selected this one, actually we haven't. It is the Future of Jobs report from the World Economic Forum. Again, it could be 10 different others. What we do believe is in this model that the next generation of global innovators are T-shaped people. You learn in your bachelor's or in your master's the technical things you have to learn. So if you are a mechanical engineer, you need to know about mechanical engineering, and preferably know it all. The fact is that knowing everything about mechanical engineering will not make you the best mechanical engineer in the world, because the market out there will require something else. What? The transversal skills. The ability to solve problems in a complex problems in a creative way, to manage intercultural conflict, budgets, to negotiate, to have the emotional intelligence to adjust to the situations. So, actually, what we're teaching, or what our students are learning, is how to learn. And they will be able to learn throughout their lives when robots take over, or when the next generation of artificial intelligence takes over, or whatever. And we have this flexibility in Portugal, we have this great expression, jogo de cintura. Yeah, we adjust, we dance. We dance with ambiguity. Actually, ambiguity is a very important thing. I'll go back. Great. Dancing with ambiguity is what we do. And this is the heart and soul of human-centered innovation. Is being in front of real-life situations, not controlled situations, and still be able to adjust to them. This is a little bit of what this Industry 4.0 is demanding from us. So we try to develop this. So, back a little bit. We do this by having a very strong community, and we do educational programs. Some of them are exclusive for Porto Polytechnic students because it's our home, but a few of them are open to anyone in the world. We have our flagship program is a post-graduation called ME310 Porto. It's the postgrad in product and service innovation. Actually, Oliveira and Ribeiro is André Ribeiro, both Andrés actually. They were last year doing this program with us, working with Sonai and with Silampus. So Silampus, very traditional Portuguese company that does cookware, pans and pots. Yeah, we can do innovative innovative products and innovation with pens and pots, with a digital aspect to it. And ask André, pay him a beer and ask André and we'll share it. Or we can change the way we buy things. Like for instance, I love this notebook, and I'll take a picture and buy it. That's what André did for Sonai. So digital, physical, and we do this actually for companies. Companies pay us, and that's the only thing actually that we promise them, is that they will pay the bill. They can't control the process. We won't allow them to control the process. It's it's in the hands of the team. The students will decide what to do. Eventually, they might decide on a major disaster. And if shit hits the fan, it's a learning experience. We hate this mantra of, yeah, let's fail so much that we, no. Let's avoid failing, but to be honest, you will fail. So let's learn from that. That's what we try to do. So let's learn as much as we can. So, and we do this with a very open community dynamic. We have breakfasts every Thursday. So we have a party every Thursday evening inside Porto Design Factory. We have events, meetups, you know it all. But what we do there is we have this three-stage model, because education is what we do. This is the reason why we exist. We are in a higher education institution, so yeah, it's in line with the mission. But then we started delivering nice things to companies, nice proofs of concept. Actually, we don't care about the proofs of concept. So sorry to tell you, we are here speaking about digital and physical products and so on. We don't care about the products. And actually, we also have an acceleration stage, so we have 2 pre-acceleration programs for design-based startups and music-driven entrepreneurs. And we don't care about startups. We care about people. So we are accelerating entrepreneurs. We are empowering great innovators. We are cherishing future change makers. It's about the people. So the project of the company, the product we deliver to the company is just a tool that we use to empower a new generation of global innovators. We don't care about that. Actually, what happens is that the model generates so much crazy things that 90% of what we deliver to companies is having a follow-up to market, which is kind of cool. So for instance, André's project will go to market. Riber's project will go to market. Might take a year, 2 years, 5 years, depends. And what we do there is not exactly developing the product. There's other people that will do it much better than we do. We use this metaphor. When a company comes to us and to our innovation model, they are just not sure of the problem. So we will prove the problem. Meaning that I need to go from here to there. Development is, how do I go there? That's easy. The question is it there the right place to go? Why there? And why not there or there? So let's prove it. Let's analyze it. So we spend lots and lots of time working on the problem stage. Problem space is where we are more comfortable in, or where we deliver better. Solution, market, the developers, the designers, they will do it. We don't even want to compete with them, actually. These are some of the companies and so on. So, actually, what we're trying to understand a little bit in our innovation model is, instead of making people want things, which is a way, we want to make things that people want. So, we want to understand not only how to design the right thing, we want to understand what is the right thing to design. And that is truly what we do at Porto Design Factory in our programs. Coming up with the definition of innovation, a few, of course, new idea, devices, or methods. Wikipedia, our great source of information. New method, idea, or product. A significant positive change. We start liking this more and more and more, but actually what we like is this. It's the future delivered. It's an idea of the future. It's a vision of the future. And because of to show a vision of the future is hard, it's hard for you all to understand what the hell did André design and develop for Silampur, which is actually a machine that washes dishes in your sink in 3 to 12 minutes. We prototyped it. So the physical dimension is always there. We need to learn by doing, talk by showing. And by showing, even if it is a very low-fi cardboard prototype, we start getting people in the future space. So we are starting to deliver in a future that is more or less understood by us all. The problem with delivering the future, and coming back to this thing that Steve Jobs was saying, that people don't know what they want. Yeah, people, they do know what they want, if we explain them. The problem is that there's a very interesting story. In the early 90s, a survey in the US asking if people wanted a new method of delivering mail that would be much faster, much easier, much cheaper, and most likely not physical. And 90% said, why? We don't need it. And they were talking about email, of course. And why did people respond saying, no, why do we need it? Because nobody explained them what the future would be. Perhaps because we didn't know what the future would be, but we had some rough ideas, and we can prototype them, even if it is to physically prototype an email system. We can do that, it's easy. Okay? So it helps. So the prototyping aspect is very important for us. So, as I mentioned, this is a process, it's a very ambiguous process. It's hard. We live in ambiguity. We dance with ambiguity. We use a little bit of we collaborate, so M310, our postgrad, our flagship program, is a partnership with Stanford University. And 19 universities throughout the world do this program together about product and service innovation. And typically, you know that D-School and generated IDEA or else. David Kelly, that was in Stanford, generated IDEO and then generated D-School. Actually, David Kelly was a student of the founder of M310, Larry Leifer. And you know, everybody thinks that David Kelly is a designer. He founded IDEO, great, he's an engineer, by the way. And Larry Leifer, that founded the design thinking process, is an engineer. And he developed it while he was doing flight simulation for NASA. Flight simulation. But this is typically their process. I think you're all familiar with it, okay? Yeah, let's redefine the problem, let's do the defining, benchmarking, brainstorm, prototype, test, and do it all over again and again. And as we're always doing it over and over again, we are moving slightly forward and slightly forward and slightly forward. This is great, but the reality is this. So ambiguity. What the hell am I doing here? The learnings are pointing me, or the findings are pointing me to a totally opposite direction of what my company wants me to do. And what do I do? So it's this approach of the questions. And this great philosopher from the 20th century, Bono Vox from YouTube, wrote it in a song in 1977. We thought that we had the answers, but it was the questions we had wrong. So we go back into that. So we don't take even the briefing that we get from the company for granted. We totally rip the briefing. We deconstruct it, and we start proving it piece by piece, or not proving it. And I will show you today an example of not proving a briefing and actually having to tell one of the biggest companies in the world, you're fucking wrong. Okay? So this is a little bit design thinking. We hate the expression design thinking, and we don't use it in Porto design. In fact, we use human-centered innovation or human-centered design. It's about people. And especially because design thinking has become a buzzword with lots of different models, and there are different models to design thinking. IDEO is one, D-School has a different one, Frog Design has a different one, the British Council has a different one, Hyper Island has a great one actually, I love the Hyper Island model. But it's a human-centered approach to problem solving. Pretty much that. Is getting the problems right will lead us to better solutions. Getting the right questions will help us find the easier, simple, more effective, more profitable, whatever you want, answers. So, I will go very fast with this. It's people-centered. It's very, very creative. It's heavy, it relies heavy on ideation, and that particular aspect is quite interesting because design thinking is the most tolerant process I know. It's a process that induces and stimulates tolerance, because you shouldn't judge. So stupid ideas might actually be interesting. So for instance, one of the first things we ask our students to do is feedback is always given by I like, I wish. Because if you start going, that's just stupid, the other person will never put a new idea up there. So we might be losing great insights. So it's very tolerant, it's very people-centered, it's hands-on, we get down and dirty, and it's very iterative. So we don't take anything for granted, and we always try to prove, or to test to prove our points. And if the results don't prove them, we need to change. So, very fast, design thinking, or human-centered design, is not a one-size-fits-all miracle solution for everything. It's basically very interesting for wicked problems, you know, ill-defined problems. For instance, I don't want an airplane pilot to use design thinking when he's flying a plane. I want them to do very rational checklist thing. Turbulence, I press this button. Going down, I press this button. I don't want creative thinking here, okay? So it's not a one-size, it's not a miracle drug to all problems, okay? Don't accept that. Because suddenly design thinking appeared as a miracle solution. It's not, but for vague problems. I'll give you an example. IKEA asked us 2 years ago, what is the next revolution on the mass manufacturing of wood furniture? Design thinking. How do we make this table better? Design thinking, no. Might be interesting to help, but not. So it's not a one-size-fits-all, and it has various approaches, different methodologies. So there are variations, tweaks. You can develop your own tweak on design thinking. And the better-known model is the D-School model: empathize, define, ideate, promote, prototype, and test. I will not explain it. I will show it as it is Porto Design Factory style. So Ford Research Lab in Palo Alto is dealing with a big problem. Is that cities are going pedestrian. So no cars are being allowed in cities, more and more. Actually, this is the city of Milan in Italy. This is the current, more or less, pedestrian area. Okay, and this is this is the plan of the city for 2035. Just for you to have an idea, it's the equivalent of here being Aliados and here being Hospital São João. So you need to park your car in Esprella to come down to Galeria. This is the equivalent. So in this day and age where no cars are being allowed inside cities, more and more and more, and even more people are living in cities, how can Ford help people to move from A to B? That was they do cars. They manufacture cars, that's their business model, sell cars. No cars are authorized, what the hell are we selling? So how can we help people to move from A to B? So researching, understanding the user needs and so on and so on. Our team, 3 Porto students, 3 students from Porto Design Factory and 3 students from Stanford University, we started working and analyzing and trying to understand, and their first gut feeling, let's do a device. Electrical pedestrian device, something like a Segway. But, so they started hearing people about Segways and so on. There were a few, some sound, and they started prototyping a little bit, okay? So yeah, there's a base there. So we bought, it's a very low-fi prototype, as you will see. We bought an electrical skateboard, we removed the board, we put a different board, and we actually said, let's put a seat on it. What if it is a toilet seat? Great, let's put a toilet seat there just for fun. But let's try and test how people react and feel when they are driving this vehicle, which is an autonomous vehicle. That was their value proposition. Let's go autonomous, everybody is. So they started prototyping and they started collecting insights from the users. And this is what we do. This is November. We start in mid-October. So already in November they were, let's Here are the users. Let's find what the people. So let's first test safety feeling in an electrical skateboard. And let's do it on an electrical skateboard. So a solution that already exists in the market. Let's analyze the market. And it feels hard to master. The learning curve is very steep. The first time user, it doesn't get comfortable. So for some people it's good, but for other people it's not. The safety feeling in an autonomous device. So Pedro here standing, he is driving, not the person who is standing there, which I don't know who it was. And problem, it feels unsafe when you're standing. So even looking back, this possibility, if the vehicle is autonomous, I don't need even to look at the road. And the feeling was unsafe. Then when standing, okay, better. People prefer standing than standing up, sitting than standing up. So let's test more, and let's understand sitting is comfortable. Great. What about still Pedro is driving, not the person that is seated? Velocity, higher speed, lower speed. We test everything, and we get the feedback. So inside, the autonomous sensation felt safe, but the user still feels the need of overriding control. So some interesting learnings there in November. So the future, more user testing. Not everything that we tried to prove was proved. So let's go beyond, and let's think, okay, how can, so with all these learnings and all these insights, it started moving, so they abandoned the standing thing, it's a seated thing, it's still autonomous, and they changed lots of things. Let's go out there to the street. Real life situation. And actually this time they put a GoPro on Catarina's, so we can actually see her face and her reactions. And it's a lot about human observation, behavior observation. You know, there's nothing that describes better the sense of fear in your eyes than your eyes itself. So let's look into Catarina's eyes. And all the real life situations. So it was a rainy day, something very Portuguese, our sidewalks, irregular, going up, problems of course with mobility issues that we all know about and everybody's trying to fix. Then when you have to go out there in the road, it feels unsafe. Look how close the cars are. Then the roots of the tree, and then the small sidewalks, and then suddenly I think it will lose battery, like for instance, and then the way people were looking at them, yeah, it was fun. So actually, this was January, and they had to deliver a proof of concept, and I will end the proof of concept in late May. And in January, with all these tests, they were thinking about this electrical device for pedestrians, autonomous, and they realized with all the research they had that this was just bullshit. People have solutions to move from A to B. Healthy lifestyle, I'll walk or run. Public transports are getting better. Segways, electrical skateboards, bikes. Bike is becoming bike sharing, scooter sharing. Suddenly, they were asking, what's the point? People have the problem solved. It's not a real problem, actually. Even if it is long distance, with all the solutions that are being developed, they will have it solved. So we have no project. So they were really like, let's quit. We have no project. We are not able to respond to the briefing from Ford. And so we are shit. Let's go back. And then the team, actually here in Porto, in a desperate day, they said, let's go tomorrow to Santa Catarina, which is the most pedestrian area we have here, okay? But let's go like at 5 a.m. and let's observe how people start arriving to that pedestrian area. And they went there one time, second time, and the third time, they actually realized that it was obvious and it was in front of them and they were missing it. Who were the first people always to arrive in the pedestrian areas? It's the people that are delivering goods. So CTT, FedEx, DHL, of course the people that are cleaning the streets, yes, but that was not a focus for us. So yeah, DHL, UPS, the company that is delivering the beer crates to the bar, it's goods. So actually, they realized that the problem is not to move people from A to B, is to move stuff from A to B. Can you imagine how it is for Unicer to deliver barril de cerveja to here and parking in Esprello? Poor driver. And you know what? How they use it right now? What they do? They use a dolly. Simple dolly. A product that hasn't had any sophisticated innovation in 60 years. So actually they had to phone call or to Skype Ford, Research Lab, Palo Alto, one of the biggest companies in the world, and saying, you're wrong. And fortunately, they proved at least that it was a valid point, and Ford said, okay, take a shot at that and prove us. So they started prototyping and they analyzed exactly the dolly. And actually, one of the greatest things is that they realized that Ford produces Ford Transit, the most sold vehicle, soft cargo vehicle in the world. Great opportunity. So they started analyzing the dolly, and their first gut feeling, let's create an electrical autonomous dolly. The driver doesn't need to worry about anything. And they started prototyping a little bit, but actually they realized that autonomous is just they couldn't prove the point why it should be autonomous. So instead they went for easy driving. So it's electrical. It's very intuitive to drive. Nobody needs to push it. It steers right or left just by touching. It brakes just by taking hands out. It allows for cargo in horizontal, steep, or slope, or vertical. And actually, they developed a thing called cargo, which is a dolly. It has a digital connection to it. It connects with the Ford Transit systems. In terms of business model, they said they suggested that this should not be sold as a product. It should be sold as an add-on, an extra to Ford Transit. The maintenance can be done while we do the maintenance of Ford Transit, and suddenly it all made sense. Actually, they even created up a system where the damn thing is put on the back door with pure mechanics, hydraulic. Just a click and it goes up, just a click and it comes down. While it's at the door, it's charging the battery, so battery doesn't need to have big autonomy. It's intuitive driving, it's motorized, it's an extension, it has a business model. And this is the final prototype with a team. This is in Stanford at the D School, where everybody could touch, feel, use. This is in Porto, where everybody could touch, feel, and use. And this is a long way from being a final product. It had a digital thing connecting to the GPS systems. It could evolve to an autonomous thing where the thing could follow the driver, which has a wearable that it's easy. They didn't go there. That's development. We proved that we should go there, not there. And the data is here. And Ford actually liked it. It was a very courageous decision because they just understood that Ford was investing millions in a new thing called Ford Smart Mobility that was just investing in electrical vehicles for pedestrians. So they knew that the strategy of the company was going there, and they still had the courage to say, no, we don't believe that is the direction, at least the data, the users are not telling us that, and we should go here. They prototyped it and used it and observed it with UPS drivers, DHL. It was a very intense process. And now Ford wants to take this to market. So they came back to us. And we are doing the first pilot with 10 prototypes in Ford Transits of CTT in Porto. All the engineering is being done in Palo Alto. We do what? All the user observation, the field work. We will spend 3 months just inside CTT cars, analyzing how the driver is using this and the feedback. But now what we're doing is still using this human-centered innovation process to help Ford develop, fine-tune, do engineering. That's what they do best. So this is just an example of what we do. I could give other examples and ask André, both Andrés Oliveira and Ribeiro, they did different projects. But this is typically what we do. We don't care about this. We care about André Oliveira and André Ribeiro. We care about you. So, thank you.
Thanks, Rui. So you can ask or do 5 questions, and then the other questions will be in the end of the talks. Okay? Anyone?
No, you can't apply this year anymore. We already have all the students and all the programs, and the rules start on September 29th. But you are very welcome to apply it.
A question, please. How are the companies selected that I can submit a project?
Great question. In the first 2 years, we were chasing them. Now, fortunately, they chase us. So we already have pretty much all the companies that we need already for next year. Typically, what we try to do is to get great briefings. And actually, we work with the companies on the briefing. We do, in the beginning of the year, meaning now, for us, the most stupid meeting you will ever do. It's the meeting to create a problem. We always do meetings to solve problems. We actually do a meeting to create a problem. Because the company will always put the problem under a solution. Okay? I need to find a 3D printer for shoes. That's a solution. That's not a problem. So we have to reverse that. Actually, we have that briefing. We reverse the briefing, and then the students developed mass customization of shoes soles to mass market. So it's about the topic. We aim for diversity in terms of size of the companies. We work with SMEs, always with SMEs also, especially with manufacturing SMEs. We have been doing this, and we work with Nokia, for instance. So it can be different sizes, different sectors. We work with retail a lot, but with manufacturing and with IT. Typically, it's about if the company understands the concept and the fact that the only promise that we deliver is that they will pay the bill. Actually, they pay the bill and they get the IP, of course. But if they will submit patents, they will have to credit the student, not Porto Polytechnic, Porto Design Factory, or the teachers. We don't care about IP. So they get the IP and they get the bill. They have zero control. If they need to understand this. And typically companies come to us for 3 reasons. I'm putting it the honest way. They come for the final concept, of course. Second, they come to observe the innovation process and to understand and learn from it. And third, they come for talent. I'd like to say it's the opposite. They come for talent because we are about talent. They don't come for talent. That will be something cool, but they come to get something, even if they accept the fact that they will not control it. They risk it, and they want to observe and analyze and learn a little bit this process, which is not the standard design thinking thing. This is very ME310 means mechanical engineering 310. This was born in engineering, even though we don't do engineering in 310.
So it is that they don't have control of the process because what? They are not involved.
They are.
Or they are
They appoint a liaison. That liaison will meet the team usually every 2 weeks, but they can't make decisions. They will always try to influence decisions. We will fight them, and this is the reason is if they want to do something that is suited for their company, they should do it indoors. They come for us is for disruptive innovation, and the value for money for them will be if we control the process and we don't allow our team to get so much into their culture, into their KPIs, that suddenly they will be delivering something that an in-house developing team would do. So it's pretty much about that. The other side of the coin here is that sometimes we put our teams in a bubble, and that's not real life. Real life, you'll have to work with those KPIs, you'll have to respond, you'll have to this. So we try to balance. It's a hard work. It's very hard to balance this, and we fight with companies a lot. Companies will always try to steer, and when they come to me and I push them back, they will stop doing it directly with the teams. And then, I got to be honest, 2 years ago we put one liaison that was writing the check. We threw him out of the house. We did. The company's coming back again. So, because actually what we're trying to protect is the innovation and the quality of the innovation. They come for us for things that are, this is a cliche, but are really outside the box. So it's kind of hard. It's also ambiguous for them.
How do you filter the students that work with you?
Great question. We work with the restless, the odd ones. the crazy ones, the ones that typically had 10 years to do a Bachelor of 3, that were just not interested. Typically they don't do that well in terms of the grades, or actually they do also sometimes well in terms of the grades. Meaning that we don't care about grades, we don't care about that kind of evaluation or that kind of metrics. We are looking for the passionate ones, the ones that have the right mindset, and the right mindset can mean different things. So it's a very ambiguous, again, process. Sometimes we get it wrong. Sometimes it's harder for the students than we think, sometimes it's easier for other students. But what we're looking is to see that those eyes, the spark in those eyes. What we're looking is for the people that are willing to learn, willing to, or that are so passionate about it that they will fight us until the end, and we love that. So we use the word restless. Our students are the restless ones, and typically the restless ones are not so much motivated by the traditional higher education system. And we get students that just graduated, 21 years old, and they want to do this immediately. And we get Oliveira, who has been working for, I don't know, 10, 12 years, and then said, I need to do some sort of reset. Or we had Moisés, who is now on board with us in our team, but was at 10 years of Nova Base. He was in the team that was implementing the ticket system in Metro. So that's how old he is. And he came in we had 2 years ago a university teacher of 48 years. So I need to reboot. And so it's this diversity. This year we are having a nurse, a lawyer specialized in tax. We're having some oddballs. Lots of international people coming, applying, people that will move from their countries to do this. Yeah, it's kind of awkward, and we get it wrong sometimes. When we get it wrong sometimes.
What do you do?
When we get it wrong, we hope it's not too painful for the students, and we try to manage that. Sometimes we get the teams wrong. It's a learning experience, also for them. Even if they're suffering, and they will sometimes, they'll have to learn something from it. So everybody's risking a little bit. It's an experimental co-creation platform for learning.
Do you think to seek people in the hackathons at Porto or something like that?
We organize a few of them. Actually, it has been.
Do you go to Pixelcamp? Seek people?
We are having a few of our students going there to Pixelcamp. We have a startup that is applying Roblox, for instance, that is in our. We have these accelerators. We consider them students. We don't care about the startups. We care about the founders and the workers. So we work with them individually, not so much on the business model of the startup or the product that they are delivering. And yeah, we have them.
That is cool because in the hackathons we have an open shared mind and we see people that are very young and very good, I think, with a lot to learn. And I think that is a good place to see people.
It is. Actually, this
better
year
than colleges.
It's actually, no, absolutely. We don't, well, for the programs, of course, that are exclusive for students of Porto Polytechnic, that's where we get them, okay? We send an open call. Typically, students do our programs either extracurricular, so they do it for the passion of doing it, and for the passion of learning, and a few of them might do it over their end of their graduation projects, or instead of doing an internship, they might do this. But typically, they don't come, actually it's one of the things in our manifesto, learn for the sake of learning, not for credits. So we don't offer credits, we offer experiences. This year actually we're having, it's people that have been in hackathons. We have an application for our design accelerator from high school students, all coming from hackathons. And they said, I want to go there. And actually, we are considering of having it. They are very, very cool. And then we were asking, how the fuck are we working with 17-year-old kids? when we don't even accept the 18 and 19 and 20 from our university. So, yeah, let's try it out. But I gotta say this, and I gotta be real clear about this. Porto Design Factory is a bubble inside higher education and inside my university. Completely a bubble. We don't represent what reality is widespread in our schools. I'm a teacher in the School of Media Arts and Design. That's a different thing. And I'm not sure that our model should be the one that would be offered to everyone. Okay, I'm not sure. Actually, I have many doubts about that. I think it's an interesting model for some people. And we should have that, as we are a public higher education institution, and we should try to be as more broad in terms of approaches there. And we have a great school of education, so we should experiment with pedagogics. Okay, and we should try to respond a little bit, and we should try to react, because we should try to proact, but it's not happening, so we are reacting. So now we have, for instance, a project, it's called Universities of the Future, and it's pretty much us together with companies trying to understand what the hell are we doing to help the companies not firing 5 million people because they're putting robots there. How can we upskill them or reskill them? This kind of things. We are worried about that. So we will experiment something different. That's what we like to do.
Okay, last question.
Okay. First of all, thanks for the talk. I was speaking last question, but partly you just answered. It's because it's funny, we are students from mechanical engineering in field, and this week we had our first class in product design, and I was thinking that the variables that we analyzed were the price, the fuel, and the performance. So no human interaction, no like interaction with the ecosystem, nothing of that.
And the great thing is that you're right. But then a designer will tell you about function, how you feel about it, how the user feels, and what are the needs. And he's also right. What happens then when we mix you?
Yeah, but why don't starting implementing it in universities?
They are. Slowly they are. I've been teaching, I'm always, every year I do a master class in the product design class of all the engineering classes in Queen, for instance. Slowly they are. But it's like a virus. It should spread and infect. The problem is that it's very slow. The infection process is very slow. But then, what I'll tell you is that it's up to you to say there's more to product design than these 3 things. So you, yourself, you can go YouTube, Wikipedia, or deeper. I would advise deeper. Learn for yourself other approaches, other visions, and start synthesizing that knowledge. You shouldn't trust, I'm a university teacher, you shouldn't trust everything your university teacher tells you. Or at least, let me say it the opposite, you should question everything he tells you.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I want to tell you something because I'm an industrial designer, I'm not an engineer. And I work a lot with engineers. And when I have an idea about the field of a product, when I tell him, he is a user only, and he knows that this guy is right because I'm a user. And like a user, I want to feel the object. I want to know how it weighs. I want to know how it touches me. I want to know how I will use it. And when I talk to him and I say to him and show to him the things that cross my mind, normally I don't have any hard question from an engineer because the guy is human too. Okay?
Yeah.
That is not really. I think that we already came to the point that I can talk with an engineer and he understands my way. Perhaps I came to disrupt the industrial design thing. Okay, I came to go wrong with the fabric and some design ideas, but I think that we can improve that. I have to touch a lot stronger than I should, or I have to carry this and this too, and he understands normally and try to solve the problem.
Yeah.
That is not the question. This time,
yeah,
not the future.
Okay, let's move on. Yeah. So this event was organized with Porto, so I don't know if Ruba wants to say a few words, or Nuno?
Hey, I was still in the talk. Yeah, all very well to do things. Some already go very good. If you don't, at the end, I'm curious to check those steps. Just follow
Okay. So Luis, it's your turn.
Fizemos adaptadores, sim. Vou assumir que este aqui é nosso. Pode usar aqui então. Diz?
Envia para Mariana.
mariserve@whitesmith.cl. Mariserve. Mari? Serve? Sim, desculpa. Diz? Eu mando a apresentação por e-mail, apesar do computador.
Espera, enviou por e-mail a quem?
Para querer. Não sei porque queria estar agarrado.
Sim. Dá? Não? Ah, ok. Depois precisas de dar.
Tem só que confirmar para que nunca das entradas. A partir disto é tranquilo e assim ainda conseguimos pôr os slides para passar direto para o stream.
É isso mesmo.
Sim, bem disseste.
Computador, não é?
Tem alguma coisa para passar?
Nós não temos computador.
Ok. Queres falar do projeto? Posso, se calhar estou a pensar como é que faço isto sem cair as coisas todas que aqui estão. Estou Está aqui. Ok.
Deixa-me só ver se eu consigo. Como é que está visível? Eu acho que está. Aliás, não, pera, este não é o áudio. Sorry. Mas... Ok, eu acho que agora está.
Acho que está. Sim.
Guys, let's start. Yes. Guys, let's start. Yeah.
Guys, good afternoon. I'm Luís Roque. I'm the CEO of Hub. Hub is a startup based here in Porto. I have to start by saying that well, I am an engineer, so I'm trying to make here the other side. And well, let's see and let's try to understand what is a hub and what do we do. It's usually a hard message to bring. Let's try to break it down. We are a startup based here in Porto. We have 2.5 years, more or less. You see in our numbers we have we've been growing a lot. We are preparing our Series A round for those who know what is this path in terms of investment. So we are getting more mature. We are not an early stage startup anymore. And so we have more or less 35 people working right now at Hub. So let's try to see and understand a little bit. I'll go through the business side and especially our tech side. So I was asked to bring a little bit of tech detail here. I hope you don't mind. If you have questions or if you want to see something in more detail or less detail, please tell me. So, starting, who we are, what we do. We are a company that is focused on managing a supply chain of a brand. That means that we manage all the logistics flows from a brand. We are focusing right now in terms of segment on fashion brands, okay? And we manage its entire supply chain. So if you know, a brand usually buys products, and if you know a little bit of this fashion market, usually in the Far East markets, we're talking about Indian markets, Bangladesh, China, and well, and you buy here in Europe, in the US, in China, in Japan. And so what happens is that for these new businesses, for these new companies, flexibility and globalization brought a new complexity to these networks. And so we enter to face this increase of complexity. So let's try to picture a brand that it's usually a client of ours. So we can have a brand that produces in China, India, Turkey, Portugal, and it sells in 5 main sales channels. Well, you can buy the product, so it sells online in its own platform. You can buy it on Amazon or Farfetch, so it sells in marketplaces. You can buy them in a shop, so he sells to retailers, to, well, Sonai, whatever. And he can have its own stores and franchising stores. So imagine this at a global scale. So our brands have on average more or less 20 to 30 different markets where they sell. And they have on average 3 to 4 where they buy. And so let's see how we handle this kind of complexity. So I'm buying in China, in Bangladesh, and I'm selling in the US, in China again, in India again, or in Europe. And so how can we manage, and how can we manage efficiently these stock levels, this split, this omni-channel? You will hear some buzzwords throughout the presentation that we are actually facing right now, and it's what we bring to the table. So we want to break down this complexity. So this supply chain thing, we want to make it simple, so predictable, visible. We want to have visibility over the entire flow. You don't want to see just a small step, just to see what you have to sell online. You want to see what is coming from Asia. You want to see what you just bought from India. So you want to manage this, all of this complexity. And we call ourselves brand accelerators. Why? Because what we do is not just managing it like a logistic provider that you possibly know, DHL or something like that. So we are not just focusing on the efficient of this network. We are actually focused on the business side. How can we increase the rotation of the products? How can we increase sales? By giving you more flexibility, by helping you to take decisions across your supply chain. So, what you have here, so we have 6 main things that we are working on. So, obviously we do logistics. So we have a warehouse here in Porto, one in the Netherlands, and we are opening one in the US. Okay, so obviously we do logistics. We have warehouses, operations, people working in this big operations. So we have this storage. When I say logistics, and here we mean also all the different parts that enter this supply chain. So we also do what we call the production follow-up. So we are talking with the vendors in China, for instance. It's on our scope of work to talk directly with the vendors, with the suppliers of these brands directly with China, as well as deliver the final products. And if you buy in one of our brands, what you will get is an order that was prepared by us, but also all that has to do with customer service, where you track your order, everything will be on our platform. We will see that in a few moments. So we have the storage, so I was telling you about the fulfillment centers. Obviously we have the pick and pack inside of each of these facilities. What we put in there are also the intelligent part, because I will focus on this part. We have obviously a focus on logistics, supply chain, but you will see that we are much more of a core tech company, and we have a special focus also in artificial intelligence. And you will see some of the models that we are working on, that actually what brings to the table is they have the possibility to optimize these flows in a way that people can't do, obviously. So, in terms of shipping worldwide, we are shipping to more than 65 markets right now. We use a lot of different partners. I was telling you about DHL, UPS, TNT, whatever. The big ones, smaller ones to special markets. We have one platform. This will be very important throughout the presentation. It is called the Spoke. This platform is the visibility point, and it's the point where all the information about your supply chain as a brand is combined. So you have a centralized view over your supply chain. This is something for you that don't know it, are not familiar with the complexity of this. It's really hard to have this visibility, this end-to-end visibility. Okay, I work in Sonai, for instance, in the logistics area. I was responsible to create new hubs in origins and delivery centers in the Middle East. And we were deciding based on partial data, because we are seeing what is the outbound flow to these markets, to this specific channel, what is the inbound flow here, but we couldn't have this full visibility over our supply chain to help us take decisions. And this is a very important thing. I can tell you that we have a very big partner that I'll show you in some moments. They manage the whole supply chain of Nike, for instance, and they have battles there, because sometimes even Nike is bringing 100,000 shirts because they need like 1,000 in a specific and very important store, but they are bringing the whole the whole product from the origin, because it's very hard to connect what is in the origin and have this visibility over the entire chain and have the possibility to make it more flexible. This is a very important thing. And we do, of course, business development, because we are very focused on improving the business of our brands. So we have brands, and for you to know, we have brands in 8 different countries right now, throughout Europe and the US. And what we are doing with them is actually empowering them to take decisions. So they will buy better, buy less, and buy better. They will manage stocks properly. They will increase the sales, because you can buy more products if I have them online in my platform, and if I don't have stock outs, for instance. And so we are helping them to grow. And for you to understand, we are picking also brands that have a certain size, but they have high potential to grow. So we have some brands that are growing for, since they are with us, they grew for like 5 to 6 times their initial size. So this is what matters to us, and these are the metrics that we are evaluated constantly. Just for you to understand a little bit, I'll try to break it down, this schema for you. So I was telling you the whole flow, this end-to-end visibility and flow that we are managing. But it is important for you to understand that, everything on this is technological too, because we have the physical flow, but we have also all the data flow. So we but we have all the data from these brands. And we can help them using this data to extract knowledge. And what you see there is actually what we have, and you see here some sub-products of Spoke, is our warehouse management system. So the system that we have on our operations is developed by us, because we need something different from what the market has brought to us. Our order management system, so everything that connects the purchase orders, sales orders from all the brands, is also developed by us. All this collection life cycle is also on Spoke. This inventory management also. This distribution management system was developed by us. You'll see that we don't develop everything. We develop a lot of different things. We don't develop everything. We select what we will develop based on our understanding of the state of the art of the market. So imagine, we are not concurring with Shopify, Magento, all of these online platforms. What we do is we integrate with them. And so you see there an integration layer that we are using right now. So these e-commerce stores, we are integrating with them, marketplaces, we are integrating with them. But basically what we want is to get all this data in. So we have all the data from the supply chain of all the brands. So there are we don't have a brand that we only manage a small part of their supply chain. So we manage from China, from what is being produced in China, to what is delivered to your house if you buy in one of our brands. Okay, so keep this in mind, it's an end-to-end solution. I will go quickly on this because it's a little dense, but I will try to go quickly. It's just for you to understand a little bit our mindset here and what is distinct about our business. So the typical thing that everybody asks, what is your problem and solution? Well, we don't like actually this framework, but I'll try to tell a little bit. Supply chain obviously is the backbone of international commerce right now. You can't do nothing without having a very structured supply chain. This is, and we position ourselves in this kind of field, what Amazon is doing. So it don't be fooled. Amazon is not a marketplace. They started as one. They are trying to migrate to a more supply chain strong solution that they can provide. So this is what is distinct about them. What we saw is that it's not collaborative, it's too complex, you don't have visibility. This is what I felt in Sonai when I was opening hubs in India, in Bangladesh, or distribution centers in Dubai, for instance. So what we did was, okay, we need to make it this collaborative. So you will understand that everything about our solution is try to bring everybody in, from the suppliers that are in China, to the customers, you that buy in our e-commerce stores from our brands. Everything has to be integrated because I need all the information, I need everything to take better decisions, and I want to ingest all of this data, obviously also because I want my models to learn faster. We will talk a little bit about that. And we want to be the solution to be unified. We don't want to give you 3 platforms: one to manage the e-commerce channel, another one to manage stores and stock levels in stores, replenishment cycles in stores, and another one to manage the retail cycle. So we want everything to be in the same integrated system. So let's see a little bit about our platform. So it's a collaborative platform that connects the whole chain. So let's focus on the end-to-end. And we are talking about suppliers. We want to give visibility and bring the suppliers also in to our platform. The clients, so whenever you receive an order that is sent by us, you will track the order in our environment. I will not give you the UPS tracking system. I'll give you Hub's tracking system. And that is the difference, because we are trying to put everyone in this ecosystem. Sales channels, so we are not developing e-commerce platforms, but we are integrating. So when a brand comes in, what we guarantee is that we can, and we have for sure 90% of the market already covered with the 10 to 15 best platforms in the market. Operations, obviously all the warehouse management systems are in-house and managed by Bespoke. We'll see that obviously this is a very complex problem. We are decoupling in terms of the technological solution. We will see a little bit about that afterwards. In terms of distribution, what we are doing is to connect also these kind of services. So we are using UPS, for instance, to deliver, but we are not booking transports manually. We are not doing those kind of things. So we are integrated with these kind of partners to manage things without needing human resources to handle all of these processes. So we will start to enter a little bit on the AI side. And so what you have here is obviously we are facing some problems in terms of these are critical logistics problems that you see that Amazon, for instance, and if you see the documentation that Amazon is producing in terms of articles and written bibliography that they are producing about these kind of topics, you'll see things like this. So I need to predict some things in my chain to make it more smoother. And so what we are doing, for instance, is for you to have an idea, without actually receiving the physical items of a brand, well, some of them are already selling them with the samples. They are already in fairs selling the goods, but they only have samples until this moment. What we are doing is we are already forecasting their costs in the future with those sales orders. We are using algorithms in machine learning algorithms to do this. And this brings is that first thing that I told you is simplicity, predictability over costs. Don't forget that supply chain is, and logistics is one of the darkest business that are around. It's really difficult to understand what costs you will incur during the cycles. If I go too technical, please tell me to move a little bit further to the business side. So again, and this is one of our top projects internally. We are developing what we call a little bit a master algorithm to manage our whole network. And this is an increasingly, really a very, very hard problem to solve. I can tell you that we have been testing, and we are already working with some guys in the US to try to optimize it, because it's really a problem that requires a lot of computational power. And so we have sometimes the algorithm running for more than 26 hours just to optimize our flow. What does that mean, optimize our flow? So I have to decide if an item that comes from China goes to my warehouse here in Portugal or to my warehouse in the Netherlands. I have to decide if an order that is ready here in Portugal, if I will fulfill it from here, or if I will send you in a bulk shipment, in a truck, to the Netherlands to deliver it to the Central Europe. So I have to take these kind of decisions, and well, you can think that, well, these kind of decisions are really hard to make, and I cannot have well, I would need a team, a very big team, taking these decisions over time. And so what we are trying to do is to have this master algorithm that runs the entire network. Okay. Obviously, this is one of the hardest problems that you'll see in the literature, and well, a lot of people were trying to and are trying to solve it. It's really a very dense topic. What happens is that we have an advantage because we have all the information required to take those decisions. So we are a step further, usually, because what you see in most companies, what they have to do is they have to work hours and hours just to put the data in the right place and to merge all of this data. And we have that already sorted out. So, as I was telling you, we don't don't have manual process, so we try to sync everything and to guarantee that you as a brand, when you come to us, I can just connect your e-commerce platform, your sales channels to my environment. And afterwards, well, I'm collecting the data, but I'm also, well, doing operationally, I'm also doing my tasks. So I'm preparing your e-commerce orders based on the data that I'm receiving from your Shopify store, for instance. What I was telling you, so we sync, we ship and track. So we are using all of these providers, and we are integrated with all of these providers to guarantee that we have all of these processes in a very fast way happening, but also to give this kind of customer experience. We will talk a little bit about this, because if you think about it, nowadays what you see in international commerce is something that, well, it will not go in the opposite direction. What you see with Amazon, for instance, is that, I don't know if you know, but in Berlin, for instance, from the moment that you click checkout in the Amazon platform till the moment that they deliver in your house takes on average 41 minutes. 41 minutes. Okay, this is where we are in terms of customer experience right now, and well, there's no turning back. So we have to work also in terms of providing this kind of customer experience, and so we need to start And this is an interesting thing. And well, we benchmark from a lot of companies. We do a lot of benchmarking. One of the companies that we look a lot, and you are seeing it's Amazon, but also this is a strategy, clearly a strategy of a B2B2C approach. So we are working with brands, so it's a B2B business, but actually we are working also in trying to get to the clients of these brands. So we get to the C on this case. And what happens is, well, we see that where? You can see that on Salesforce. So Salesforce is providing a service to companies. It's a B2B business. But what they can do is they can touch you because you are a customer of this of their clients. And so they are putting all of this data in, and they launch, well, you have to name it, they launch Einstein right now. This, well, their group of AI algorithms that they call Einstein, and it's based on your behavior of a client of a company that is using Salesforce. So this is what we want to get to. We want to understand the behavior of this final client. Okay, our plug-and-play strategy, just for you to understand, we want to make, and this supply chain is something that you are seeing that is very dense, it's very hard to, it's a problem very hard to understand. What we want to do is have something like 5-minute setup. You can set up your supply chain in 5 minutes. This is what we want to achieve. And to make sure that we can do this, we have to have all of our processes very, very prepared to rapidly take all the data needed and take all the processes from the brands that we are acquiring in. This is one of our brands actually, it's called Pixel Panties. So this is not in production yet. You'll see that our idea to bring this part of it is already. Some we are still implementing. Well, what you see there is a way to make this 5-minute setup supply chain. And so the thing is, well, we want to have steps. And very easy steps. So connect your vendors. Vendors is suppliers, okay, the guys in India that are producing your items. Select your markets, origin, destination market, your sales channels. Set up your team, create your collection, integrate your e-commerce platform, marketplaces, whatever. Integrate other platforms that you use. And so we are trying to get the data from these different platforms and get all the data required to start shipping on the next day. If I know the address of your supplier, if I know the purchase order that you put and the date is today, I can just be contacting him today and making sure that tomorrow he is being shipping from China to Portugal, because I have everything set it up to make that happen. So we have partners also that have offices in the origin, so in China, in India, and we can have these kind of processes very lean. So in terms of supply chain design, again, hard topic. I will just go through a little bit of our mindset on this, because it's very different from what you will see, and it's important to have this idea of the business that we are setting up. So usually you don't see this, you don't see a supply chain like a transactional model, but we do. So we are seeing products that are being supplied and, well, have a demand. And so we are just trying to match this supply and this demand. It is our only objective here, is to meet and match these two. And we will try to make this match in the most efficient way. This is our mindset. This is what you have to keep in mind. And so obviously we have to use some advanced stuff to do this. And well, we have some interesting things, is that we don't believe, and just to give you an idea, in terms of distribution, we don't believe that these kind of giant warehouses will be the strategy for the future. And well, some companies are doing exactly that. If you see, Amazon can't deliver in 41 minutes in Berlin if they are fulfilling from a giant warehouse in Scotland, as they have several in the UK. Well, they have to have a small and local advanced stock position to fulfill these needs. And those advanced stock positions are very different from the current ones. And this was what makes us decide to develop our own warehouse management system. It's because these advanced stock positions are very based on rotation, so we want to be very fast. I'm not too much worried about space. You know, if you go and talk with a logistic provider, they will say to you, okay, for the cubic meter or the square meter is 3 euros. For me, it's not that the purpose here. I'm much focused on your rotation. How can I make you rotate faster? That means that you will sell faster. Imagine a brand that has a collection, spring-summer collection from Parfois is coming in. And so I worked in Parfois, so I know very well the collections. And so imagine a collection is coming in, some spring is down the road to the stores. And what we have to guarantee is that we want to rotate this collection as fast as we can. Why? Because the brand itself wants to sell faster, okay? And we want also the brand to sell faster, because if the brand sells, imagine, all the collection in 1 month, and all the rest of the 5 months nothing happens, well, I have capacity. I have capacity in my network, okay? I have free capacity in my network where I can put another one. And so, well, in 1 month I shoot every product from Parfois. Now for the rest of the collection, for the rest of 6 months, I have capacity that I can allocate to other brands. And so this rotation is one very, very important topic for us. And what we want to achieve then is we want to rotate faster, but we want to rotate with equality. That means that we want to be effective, but we also have to understand very well the demand. That's why one of the biggest projects that we have in our roadmap is to build a forecasting model much more based on AI than on the traditional models that we are currently using, because this gives us the leverage, because I will decide if I will put the stock in the US or in Portugal or in the Netherlands based on your sales and not based on my understanding of efficiency, because it's not efficiency. I can be allocating my space very well, but then I have to supply the US from Portugal. So I'm losing all the efficiency that I won in square meters. I lost in the shipping. And so I have to think the network again. So this technique customer approach. One important thing that we are working on is to give this leverage to the brand. So we are starting to understand patterns, okay? So we are starting to understand things like the price points that are being worked in specific markets, in specific categories, in specific industries. And so what we want is to bring, and well, we can see also benchmarking here from, for instance, Salesforce with their AI solution, is to bring that knowledge to the brand itself again. So we are ingesting all of this data, and we can suggest things like this to the brand. Okay, you should take a new direction in your scope. So try to market more, or give emphasis to digital marketing in this specific category of accessories, for instance, in the UK, because it is working right now. Okay, so we can and we do this kind of insights to the brands. Again, customer experience. We want to give. We already gave some interesting things, like for the Black Friday. We gave free shipping for all the brands that were working with us, for them to feel that they have to also to have this idea of customer experience, of the experience when you buy something. You have to feel that this is distinctive in some way, and obviously we are connecting our brand to this. So this is a delivery made by Hub, and this is an important thing. Okay, we want to be and to make sure that you will see that this hub that is giving you this different experience. Another things that we are working on. So we know that the traditional marketplaces, platforms, selling platforms, and etc. Is changing. And we are working on a chatbot right now. We are on beta testing right now that help us, firstly, to give you a better customer support. So imagine that you are on Messenger and we are on a pilot on this. Imagine that you are on Messenger, we want to track your order, whatever, you want to ask something about your order. You can do it and see, and so we can have different channels from the email or the website or whatever. But what we want to explore more is this kind of opportunities. But because actually, I know the patterns of and the behavior because I'm getting the data from you when you are purchasing for my brands. And so I can give and use things like this. I can set up a recommender system, and when you buy, I can send you the tracking number from your order, but I can also send you and do a little bit of cross-sell and upsell. Okay, so, and try to, what we are trying to do is, one important thing that you have to keep in mind is that in international commerce, you saw interesting movements here. Look at the retailing activities here in Portugal. The producers before, well, 1980s had a lot of power when they were negotiating. Afterwards, it came, well, Continent and Pindos and whatever. And those kind of retailers brought the power to their own space. And so what you see right now is that the retailer wants to do a discount in a product, and who does the markdown is the producer, because the power is on the retailer side. What you see right now in the international commerce is that marketplaces are winning a lot of this power. So when you think about Amazon, Alibaba, whatever, they are winning a lot of power. And so brands are feeling that, well, they are losing their capacity to go further and to have more this kind of experience, to give more experience to their customers, because it's hard. It's hard for a brand, even for Zara, to guarantee that they can have this kind of customer experience for their clients, like Amazon is doing in Berlin. So to deliver in 41 minutes, this is crazy. They do a lot of good things. They introduced, for you to have an idea, the fast fashion that didn't exist before Inditex brought it. And so what you had there it was a change. So from one moment to another, there was a company that could respond to sales in 2 to 3 weeks, from production to store, 2 to 3 weeks. And so we have to have this kind of different approaches to empower the brands again, to have their capacity to provide this kind of customer experience. And so I was telling you, obviously we do a lot of benchmarking again, and you can see and go to Skype, for instance, and you could install the UPS chatbot. They have it in beta testing right now, but it's live. You can go to Skype and install it, and you can track an order from there. The advantage that we have is that UPS only have information about your tracking status. So they have information if what you bought today is in transit, is getting to your house, is whatever. But I have information about your order. I know what products you have there. I have information about your other orders that you bought in the past from our brands. And so I have an environment that I can give you that they cannot. Okay? And just to finish, I have more slides, but it's a little more deeper on the tech. I think we'll stay here today, but I'll try just to explain you 2 more important things. For you to understand our business model and why we are different. So we have everything that I've been showing you. And you can imagine, okay, for a brand to pay all of this, it's like, okay, and they want to buy our AI system to manage the network, it's like 1 million, and to buy whatever, it's like 2 million. But it is not, because our business model is we have a completely different approach. Again, we are on the business side, we are working with the brands. And so what you have is that everything that I've been stating here is included in one price per item. So again, if you think of a transactional model, every product that I manage from a brand pays a price to get in my network. Everything is included, from IT to integrations to operations to well, everything, quality control, whatever. Everything is included. Stock. If we keep the stock 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, 1 week, it pays the same. And obviously we do this because we have this layer of intelligence on the back. So when we are doing this kind of pricing, we are understanding all the complexity that we will have to manage from the supply chain of a brand. And so we will give you the final price. And again, if you think about it, it's again the simplicity and the predictability, because it won't change. You pay a price for me to manage your collection. We work in collection basis. So for summer spring 17, the brand paid us, imagine €1 per item for their 50,000 items that I will manage. So they are paying me 50,000 euros divided by the 6 months, and that's it. And I'm managing the whole network here. Okay, because I'm doing, and I want to assume all the risk. Because if you let the stock with me for a year, well, I'm doomed, because I will have my capacity all the time, occupied with your products. So my focus here is to rotate your products as fast as I can. And so I will be working on you, giving you insights to make sure that you move and you sell more and more and more. And if you think about it, we grow when the brands grow. If a brand doubles from one season to another, actually our revenue doubles with this brand. And so we are very aligned. We want to make sure, again, we are a brand accelerator. So we have to have this kind of mindset. So you see here, all the complexity enters here, and in the end, you have one price per item. Just to explain you a little bit the differences, because usually the people, especially the guys from that work in logistics, from big companies that work, that big logistic providers, they ask me, okay, but what is different? And my first comment is always on the business model, because it's the opposite. So what is make you earn money is completely the opposite what is making me earn money. So if you think about it, and if you look at this, we call it the old way. So imagine DHL, when they are managing your supply chain as a brand. You have your things in their warehouse, whatever, and how they earn money. This is the important part. So if you transport your items from China to Portugal, then to the Netherlands, if you do internal operations in the Netherlands, and if this takes 6 months, they will win for each of these movements to take to Portugal, Portugal to the Netherlands, and they will earn money from the time spent with your goods in their possession. But if you think about it, a brand doesn't want to have the goods in stock. They want to sell it as fast as they can, because you have cost of ownership. You have, your items go out of fashion, and so you want to sell them fast, and you don't want to move your products from A to B to C to D to E. You want to make it from A to H, if it is possible, and in the shortest times. And so, in the first graph that you have there, if that happens with a brand of ours, I'm actually losing money, because I'm losing my capacity. So I have the goods in my warehouse, I cannot put another brand in, and well, I'm doing a lot of transport and a lot of internal things, and I'm not charging extra for this. I'm charging exactly the same amount, so I'm losing money. And on the opposite direction, the logistic provider is earning money in each transport, in each layer, in each activity, in each day that they have your stock. And so in the end, what we have here is the completely the opposite model. So I earn more money if I will be faster and rotate your items faster, if we can sell them faster. So I'm completely aligned with the brand's intention, okay? And so this was an important idea that I would want you to keep in mind. I had more points here, but I don't know how were you at time.
We are a bit delayed.
Delayed? Okay, so thank you. If you have questions, please be my guest. I had more technical stuff, but well, I'm sure that in the next time we can talk a little bit more deeper on that. Hope that you liked it. Questions? Yeah.
Most of your team is engineers for software or expert in logistics and marketing?
Well, we are very divided on that. So we have what we call an IT team, so for software development, okay? But we have a different team that is responsible for these models that you saw here, artificial intelligence, business intelligence, also to handle all this data, okay? But then we have obviously the operational stuff. So we have a supply chain team / operational team that is managing also, because we have people in the warehouses, that those are our people here in Porto. If you go to our warehouse, we have pickers doing the picking and whatever. So we have a team that is working also in the operational part, but also in the supply chain part. So in terms of planning and understanding what kind of stock positions we should have, what kind of different processes we should set up, with what kind of different origins, sourcing origins, we need to have some sort of different infrastructures, whatever. But we have also a team, we call it an account management team, that is working with the brand. And this account management team also does this operational connection with the operations itself. So it's also managing what is happening in the operations and working directly with the brands. But they are also responsible for what you saw here, to give insights to the brands. So they work closely with the brands. And it's interesting because during this time what we learn is that we are actually embedding in their structure. So right now you have like in-house mails, internal mails from the brands, and our account management is actually on those. And so you have a strong partnership. And so we have completely different teams here. We have operational, pure operational, supply chain, account management, very focused on the brands, very focused on the brands. We have, and obviously we have IT, AI, and also product development. So everything that is connected with product development, we have also.
So guys, we are a bit delayed, so I'll ask if you have more questions to do it in the end of our last talk. Thank you, Luis.
Thank you.
So this is the shortest talk. Gonçalo will do it now.
Ora bem, tenho aqui no meu PC se...
Fazer o teu mais rápido.
Não, eu acho que para facilitar a vida é melhor fazer isto.
Ok, então vai ao audience e tem o link. Deve estar lá. Obrigado. Até já. Se está tudo ligado, amigo, já. Thank you, no problem. Ok. Não vejo nada, não sei o que sabe. Nem está o gato. Jesus Christ, está aqui. Okay. So, okay, so we're gonna start this because of good. Okay. No idea what's happening. I don't know. Okay. I think this is it. So let's start because everyone's hungry. So I'm Gonçalo. I'm from Whitesmith. And I'm here to talk to you about our 6-week product cycles, which is something we've been doing for the last months. It's an experiment. And it's actually it has to do with some things that have been kind of talked about today here. So before I talk to you about the product cycles, I think, although Marie-Jean already presented it, it's important to give you some context and talk to you about who we are. So at Whitesmith, we like to call ourselves a product studio. So what we do is, I'm just getting some space for me. So what we do is we craft products both for startups and big companies, but also for ourselves. So we actually build stuff both for external clients and for us. So the question before telling you what a product cycle is why do we start doing this? And it has a lot to do with our history. So as we did products, and here are some examples. This is Cold. It's been a product of ours for like 3 years, I think. I've been involved in this product. It is basically a product that will help you monitor your temperature in your freezers and fridges in restaurants. So basically, it's done to comply with HACCP regulations. So it generates reports, but it will also give you alarm if some temperature is rising and I don't know, all the meat is going crazy. So this is one of our products. Another product is I think I clicked twice. So is Unplug. Unplug actually is connected to the genesis of Whitesmith. So it started as a home energy management. So correct me if I'm wrong, but what it did was it collected data from different devices, and it would help you analyze your energy consumption and eventually optimize it, so you wouldn't spend so much energy. So with these two and other products that we've been doing, what we got was a lot no, but some experience. Since we've been doing this since the beginning, it's been I mean it's been a time it's been an energy and time-consuming effort. But the most important thing here is that teams that were working on it, they got the insights, they got all these difficulties and battles they had to fight. And even though I was part of Cold team, so even though we tried to share it with everyone in our company, even though we had weekly recaps and we tell everybody about our goals and how we were doing and the difficulties we were facing, but even though that helped people understand what we were doing, truth is I got more experience than the people that were just listening from it, because I was actually facing the difficulties and I was like feeling the pain and not sleeping or sleeping less. So yeah, it got us a lot of experience. So one thing we wanted was, how can we do this better and faster? So how can we improve our process to make this a better experience both for us and our products, so we can make them better. Another thing is we want more people to experience this and actually learn from it. So we came up with product cycles. So this is one of the things we've been trying to do to answer to that question. And we hope it works, at least that's why we're doing it. So I don't know if you guys, any guys know Basecamp? Okay, so you're familiar with it. They do this thing which is 6-week cycles. So imagine you're part of a team and you want to develop a feature or whatever. What you have is 6 weeks to develop that. And if it's too big for those 6 weeks, it's probably because you should break it down into smaller tasks. They, as us, believe that 6 weeks is enough to build something with quality, and enough quality. So we took this concept and we kind of, I don't know, we analyzed how could we do something similar but for products instead of features. So we came up with this idea of a product cycle, which is a 6-week cycle in which teams are supposed to not only develop a feature, or they may not even develop nothing, but they should be, what they should be is talking to users, design if they have to, develop if they have to, and the most important thing, as Rui said today, is getting all that information and recap and iterate as fast as you can, because that's the way you learn. So I'm kind of getting into how we're doing it already, but I'm coming back a bit. So this is kind of the timeline. So we ask people to pitch ideas. They can be stupid ideas, they can be super technical ideas, as you'll see in a bit. So what we ask is, we give them templates, so we give them some questions that we think will help them make a better pitch, more stronger pitch, much like you can get in iCombiner submission forums. So they write their pitches, they tell us, hey, here's my pitch, and we iterate with them, we try to help them. We have a small, well, everyone can give feedback, but we have some people that are more dedicated to that have more attention, pay more attention to that. So we try to help them iterate and improve their pitch. So when it comes to a deadline, we don't sit, we just analyze stuff, and we decide what pitches seem to be more promising to advance to a product cycle. So there are some criteria there. So we look very much to validation evidences, which are basically having any kind of data that your users will want this. It's not just your idea, oh, I like this and I'm going to do this. No, you have to have evidence that your users will want this and this will be actually useful. Tech relevance, because of course we like to innovate, and if you're bringing something new to the company, or if you're trying new technologies that are more disruptive, that's points for you. And of course team and goal definition, because you're going to do a 6-week product cycle. In those 6 weeks, a lot can happen. You can face technical difficulties, you can face communication difficulties, so you have to have those things prepared. Goals are, of course, nice because it's the only way we reach the end and actually have a metric of success for that, even though goals can change. So, okay, we decided these pitches will now start their product cycle, so what comes next? Well, we don't have much structure in terms of what these product cycles are. What this means is teams are independent. I mean, they must be independent, because if you're starting to do something, or if you're building a product, or I don't know, building a company, whatever you are, you have to make decisions, and there's probably not going to be much structure in that process. Of course, you can read a lot, you can get information, you can ask your friends, do whatever you want, but in the end, it's your decision that counts, it's your performance that counts. So we want teams to be independent because it's their stuff. At the same time, we kind of want to help them, because if I learned a lot from Colt, I want to share it. And if, for example, you're doing something and you're facing a problem that I faced, I want to know it, because I want to tell you, okay, I've been here, I've done this, it helped me, or it didn't help me, and I wasn't shit. But what matters is, I'll give you another perspective and probably help you solve it in your own way, of course, but with my help. So what we did was we created this police. It's not a police, because products are not suspects, but we call it a police. I can tell you in the end, this is a joke. But we have this team, police, that actually is responsible for always keeping an eye on the product cycles that are going on. And the only thing we ask is for those teams, for those product cycles, to have a way of organizing, have a process, have somewhere in which I can see what they're doing and eventually find out if they're having problems, try to help or not. Usually at least some feedback or questions are always useful. So it being a Trello or a spreadsheet or Slack post, whatever you want. The thing is, they have to have this process and we have to have access to it so we can eventually help. So I think you got the big picture now. I'm going to talk to you a bit about our first round of product cycles that has already ended in mid-August, I think. So in the first round we accepted 5 product cycles, and well, this is a bit too much, we believe. But the thing is, we had summer interns that came from the University of Coimbra. I think all of them are from the University of Coimbra. And what happens is we wanted to give back to them something that they don't get that much at the university, as Rui said, and as I think most of us agree. They can learn to program at the university or at home. You have so many courses, but actually being involved in creating something and having to talk to users and being having something that promotes that, I think it's something that most people don't face at the university, unfortunately, in my opinion. So these were the 5 that we accepted. All of them had summer interns, and well, I'm going to talk about the results later. Not that late, don't worry. So Digital Bird, in which Maria was involved, is a digital nomad platform. And they came up because Marie is a digital nomad. She likes to travel around the world. Sorry, disclaimer. And what happens is there's a tendency for digital nomads to want freedom, to be free as a bird. So hence digital bird. Can be, okay. So they want freedom to decide where to go, and I mean, I'm going to travel through, I don't know, Indonesia, and I don't want to be stuck in one place just because they say I want. I want to do as I want, for example. So this is kind of a try to solve this. Bulk is a crowdsourced validation community. So what it means is interns and other people involved in the pitches were having a hard time trying to validate things. So as they were having that hard time, they thought, okay, maybe other people have this hard time too, so they decided to create this. TikTap is, I don't know if it's just a smartphone game, it's an app for rhythm practicing. So it starts the music and you start playing at the rhythm of the music, and then the music stops and you have to keep it on. So me as a bass player or amateur bass player or whatever, I find it very cool because I don't know, it's fun. And ImageGrid was an app that would make easier for you to compare images on Slack. So there was this tendency for people to ask for feedback. I mean, do you like this logo in green or red or yellow or whatever? And instead of sending you a lot of pics, you would just use ImageGrid to post on Slack an image with all the images, and then it would create a poll so you could vote, okay, I like the red one or the green one, whatever. And finally, Team Up, which is basically LinkedIn for teams. So you guys know LinkedIn. The idea is that teams are bigger than just individuals, and we'd like to see how it goes. So I have just a sneak peek of Digital Bird. You can actually go to digitalbird.co and book it, and travel to Coimbra, Lisboa, and Porto, I think. So you're already in Porto, so you can go to Coimbra and visit us. It's live, and it's working. And this is TikTap. You can also go to tiktap.herokuapp.com. Sorry, TikTap.guys, but this is a demo. Of course, don't expect nothing gigantic, but it works, and you can try it there. So if you want, I can give you the links later, or I don't know. I admit that you're probably not recalling the links. So, results and lessons from the first product cycle. Not much, but a lot at the same time. So we were quite happy to see that most of the teams got, I wouldn't say a lot of metrics, but they made a big effort in gathering metrics about their, I wouldn't say market, but users. So both in the pitch phase and during the product cycle, they made a big effort in collecting data from users. And this is a big win for us, mostly because this is a quick example. Me, as part of Cold, I've been connected to Cold almost since the very beginning. And what happened was, when we came up with the idea, actually talking to a restaurant owner, we went and talked to more restaurant owners, and they were like, we pitched them and we say, okay, with this you don't have to mind with registering your temperatures and all that. And they go like, oh, that's amazing, yeah, sure, keep it up, you got young people doing things, that's awesome, Portugal rocks. Okay, so, okay, nice, feedback is good. And we'd go back and we'd build a prototype, we'd build something that works, and we go, okay, can we test it here for like a month so we can see if it actually works? And they'd go, yeah, sure, and you want to buy it, right? Yeah, of course we want to buy it. So we go and we put it in the places. And at the end of the month, or 2 months, because we were nice guys and we let it there for 2 months, that we'd go, okay, so now it's €50 a month or €20 a month, because we sell it as a service, because it's not only the hardware, that we also have so we build the hardware and the software. But what happened was, €50, okay, yeah, guys, this is cool, yeah, but come on, we don't want it because we can do it manually, so it's not that much. That guy has nothing to do in the afternoon, so he goes around and he makes a registry, so we don't need him. So yeah, this is cool, but talk to, okay. So what happened was we didn't properly validate the market because we were naive to just believe, okay, people say they want this, so they want this. Yeah, I'm sure they want it, but they want it for free because that's, I mean, we want everything for free. So when we talk about paying, that's where you see if people really want it. In this case, of course, there are a bit, there are some cases in which this is not just going there and say, okay, do you want this tic-tac game, so pay now. Of course, it's not that easy. But we made this effort of kind of pushing teams to get to what we believe are more valid conclusions, and not only people saying they want, not only your 20 friends on Facebook asking your foreman saying, yeah, this is very cool and I'll use it. So either by actually making orders for your product, or by subscribing to a newsletter about your product, because no one likes emails. I mean, I don't like emails. Every day I make filters to receive less emails. So by doing that, or for example, if it's an open source project, by starting it on GitHub, what means is all the teams felt this and made a big effort in validation. And that kind of makes me happy because I had this battle before with myself. And I'm pretty sure everybody that was involved in this, if they're going to build something tomorrow, they'll remember this. And the first thing they'll probably remember, I hope, is, okay, I have this idea, but I'm going to talk to users because I need to know if this is real or if it's just in my head, or if it's just for me, because it can be, or we're always in a bubble. So that's good. Not so good. There were problems in some product cycles that we could have helped fastest, or better, maybe better, if we had knowledge of them before. So either being business problems, or because one of them was in a partnership with an external entity and they had to collaborate, and it's not easy because it's external, or technical stuff that we already had the knowledge to help them because we're a software, well, not just a software, but we know software, amongst other things. We could help them better if we had more knowledge about it. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do better in the second cycle. Maria can say better about me. I'm supposed to help on the second cycle. So, disclaimer, we're on the second cycle. And for it, we narrow down the selection. So I'm already showing that Digital Bird moved to the second round, so the results were good enough. And we believe they can make better, so they can perform better. And so they moved to the second round. And at the same time, there's this autotune, which has nothing to do with autotune, if you guys are familiar with the music autotune. It has to do with tuning algorithms. So it's a more technical thing, and I'm not that into the technical aspect of it. But it's, well, we believe, and it's not just me that make opinions on how they should go or not, because so I have my corner of opinion, and there's more people, and that's why we're a team. So for second product cycles, this is one of the things that we did to try to improve this communication problem, which was reduce the number of projects, which would naturally allow our police to be more well, to pay more attention to details on those two product cycles. Yeah, so that's one of the things. The other thing we did was, in the first round we had, this police were 3 people, I was one of them, but the other 2, they had a lot of work by that time, so they couldn't be that much, paying that much attention, and they weren't happy about it. So this time we tried to predict this a little better and maybe allocate our efforts smarter. So, I'm just about to end. I think it's important to talk to you about the impact that we hope to have on Whitesmith, our company. So, first and foremost, of course, we want to build products, so we want them to spin off. We want them to be sustainable, to be successful, and to eventually spin off and be our babies. So, yeah, I think that's probably the main goal of this, if you see it as at this point. But of course, as I mentioned, we want to raise the people awareness for what it means to build products. It's not just getting here and okay, we have this problem, or we think we have this problem, and this is a great solution, so I'm going to build it, and by the time I build it, I'm going to look for people to use it. So you can't do that. I mean, you can usually doesn't work out that well, at least in my experience, my humble experience. At the same time, we want to limit work in progress. This is something that we've been trying because we have all these internal things happening, all these internal tools that we want to develop, and this is something that we want to improve, which is, okay, we have these product cycles, so we got to focus all our energy on them and do them faster, iterate faster, do them better, and learn faster. And of course, at the same time, we want to experiment and try new things so we can bring value to the company, to ourselves as individuals. And yeah, I think this is it. So I'm going to finish by saying that we're open. We'd like to talk to you about this, not just now, but maybe later. We can eventually partner on this. We're open to doing this with external entities. We can tell you how we're doing so in more detail, of course, so you can do it in your companies or wherever you are, universities, whatever. So yeah, we're very much open to discuss this, and hopefully we can learn from you and you can learn a bit from us. So thank you very much for your attention. Questions? Where's dinner? I don't know. But yeah, I'll be happy to answer questions. Yeah, sure.
Have you tried a shorter push cycle in 6 weeks?
We haven't tried yet. We're on our second cycle now, so it's been like, we started in July. It was July, August, no, September, so we haven't tried yet. But that's interesting, yeah.
So I don't know if you know that Google has design sprints.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same, but all in 5 days. And so that's really, really quick. Do you thought that you could use that methodology or not? Because there are some methodologies like Google and like IBM.
Yeah, so the thing here is, I mean, we came with this because it kind of fits another thing that we've been doing at Whitesmith, which is we give people 20% of their time for investment time, what we call investment time, which is they can invest in learning something or building something or whatever. And since, I mean, we had interns that were full-time on product cycles in summer, but most of us during the regular season, we only have those 20%. I mean, I can work with that 20%. So I can, for example, if that's 4 weeks a month, so I have 4 days a month, so I can put them all in 1 week, for example. But well, it depends on how we want to do it. The thing is, we believe this fits that methodology. At the same time, of course, when people are in product cycles, we try to be more flexible about those 20%. So if we see that this product needs reinforcement or this person needs a bit more time to work on it, we try to manage things to give that person or team a bit more time to work there. So I think at least this is one of the answers for that question. But of course, there are many other ways.
We tried that methodology with a client, and it works really well. I think Alexandra, I don't know where she is, but
she's there.
And she worked with that methodology with a client, and I think it works pretty well. But for this specific case, we really want to go a bit more deep to the product and to the process of validate, design, and really build something.
Okay. So we are looking for strong indicators of validation, so we are looking for sales extraction.
And 1 week is not.
We use that as one part of the process or inspiration for something for the processing within the weeks.
Yes.
And from all the examples that you've shown, you basically focused on digital products, but you intend to go for the physical part of it?
Yeah, I think this was just because what people pitched. I think if the pitches are all physical, probably they will be physical too. So that's not a restriction at all.
Okay.
At all.
Okay. Thanks everyone. I'm really sorry for the delay.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed.
Let's have dinner. Okay.
A Bia teve a ver. Ela viu que sim. A Bia conhece Porto, mais ou menos. Sim. Não, ele foi super tranquilo, por acaso.